Let's learn something really quick.
If you got the time, absolutely. And you got the discipline, there's no question about it.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great practice to put into your everyday life, you guys.
You generally regret the things you don't do, not the things you did do. Let me say it that way.
Mic drop. This was just awesome. I love meeting my guests in person, and it's a whole nother animal, and the energy is just electric. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. Super pumped. My next guest is founder of Passion for Achievement, #1 best-selling author, and obsessed with optimizing entrepreneurs' energy levels and eliminating burnout. Please welcome Daniel Hauge.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to do this.
Thank you for being here. Now, please let the audience know where you're joining us from.
I am joining you from Denmark.
Beautiful. I love it. See, you guys, we have people from all over the world. Daniel's story has not been a straight line. It has not been linear like any of our lives. He's had to overcome a lot of different things. He actually was involved in drugs and crime, and now he is a thriving entrepreneur, helping other entrepreneurs succeed as well. Daniel, I always like to unpack a little bit of that backstory and kind of what catapulted you to where you are today. So can you kind of share with us like a little bit of that journey that you went through?
Absolutely. So a very long story made very short. There was some childhood trauma, some experiences there that kind of led me on a very on the wrong path, you might say. And so I started skipping school, started not having any jobs, any income. I started hanging out with the wrong people. Got a little bit involved in a little bit of drugs, a little bit of crime, and my health was bad, and just this very rock bottom story. I came to a point where I realized I can either continue down this path and it's not going to end well, or I can turn this around. And I decided that for my family's sake and for my friends' sake, I had to turn things around. And so I started by diving into personal growth. I started reading books, started getting a job so I could afford buying books and stuff like that, right? On personal growth, personal development. And I just started seeing more and more meaning in my life, and I started seeing more results. I started taking better care of my health. I started, like I said, getting jobs and working and making some money. And I just saw my life getting back on the right track. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to share some of the things that I'd learned that helped me. And so I started sharing these things in like free PDFs and free videos and stuff like that. So it was very generic personal growth for everybody, essentially. And so people started finding it useful, and they started wanting more. And so that's how it kind of became a career for me. I started making little ebooks, little mini trainings and courses, still very generic personal growth. And then
those are huge.
I've been doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Absolutely. No problem. And then I've been doing that for about 9 years now. But with time, I've niched down and niched down and niched down, because when you say personal growth, some of that is very useful. Some of it wasn't as useful for me. So sure. I just keep diving into what actually moved the needle for me and for the people that I work with my clients. And over time, I realized that I'm an entrepreneur, so I can relate a little bit more to the challenges of people that are business owners or freelancers or maybe salespeople, stuff like that. People that are in control of their own time and their own performance is a huge part of their results. I could relate to them more, so I've kind of niched down to that. And what I found was the aspect of personal growth that had the biggest value to me was this high performance thing. Because a lot of our lives, whether it's in business or it's with our health or whatever it is, we know what we should be doing. It's really about doing the thing consistently, doing it well, doing as much of it as we possibly can. So that's essentially what I'm obsessed with now, is helping entrepreneurs do the thing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love that you shared your backstory. I find that people like yourself, like including me, I don't have the best background either. Like I used to get in a lot of trouble. I'm a human trafficking survivor, so that's like a whole thing. Been through a lot of abuse. But I feel like people like us that have gone through some of those traumatic things and overcome it are essentially high-performing individuals. Because I know that I am. I'm very high-performing. Like I've got to do like a million things a day, or else I don't feel like I've done like I've reached my full capacity. And so I think that maybe sometimes people that go through traumatic things and have gotten in a little trouble really have like special gifts inside of them, like yourself, that have to kind of go through some of that stuff to like see things a little bit differently than other people.
Yeah, and especially what you said. If you're not performing, if you're not doing all the things, you feel like there's something missing, and that's exactly how I feel as well. I would say my number one nemesis in life is wasted potential. Just the thought of wasted potential for me or the people I care about or my customers and clients or just the stranger. I very much dislike knowing that someone could have more, do more, be more of what they truly want. So this is not about, forcing people to do more despite their will. This is you could have more of what matters.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I feel oftentimes that is being the reason we're being held back from that. It's procrastination, it's fatigue, it's overwhelm, it's insecurity. It's these things that I'm really, really looking to fix for people so that they can then maximize their potential in and out of business.
Do you think some of that, your journey in life, has allowed you to see that a little bit more clearly than other people?
Yeah, so I think with my past and with how I'm living now, I feel as though I'm very, very dialed in business and outside of business right now. I have systems and routines for everything. I do more in a few hours now than I used to do in a week or maybe even a month back then. I have, because of that past and because of my present, I have a very clear contrast. I have a very clear, there's a big difference between what wasting my potential looks like and what maximizing my potential looks like. So I know how big that difference is. And so, yeah, I think my past is a part of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it allows you to see things like just so much differently than other people. Now, you started doing ebooks like kind of like before it started getting popular in online courses, because that's huge now. Everybody has an ebook, everybody has a course, but like when you started, that was fairly new, right?
Yeah, so I basically just listened to the people that were watching my content or downloading my PDFs or PMing me on Facebook or whatever it was. I just listened to, hey, what do you want more of? What's the number one issue you have for this or for that? And then I just packaged it.
Because, I mean, you look fairly young. Like, how old were you when you started with offering the ebooks and the online courses?
That would be around, I would have been 17, something like that. When I with the
Get the fuck out.
with the very,
Sorry, guys, I'm swearing, okay? But like, holy crap. Oh my God, that's amazing.
And that was the very, very first, when I started dipping my feet into that. So I wasn't at 17, wasn't the expert or a guru or anything like that. I was basically just a student at the beginning of my journey that really enjoyed sharing what I found to work on that journey. So I was more so a student sharing with other people. At least that's how I presented myself, and it's how I, in a way, still look at myself. I don't want to be
for sure
the guys, stepping forward saying I have all the answers, because if I had all the answers, why would I wake up tomorrow, right? I wake up tomorrow to find more of the answers.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm essentially sharing with people. That's
amazing. Like how at a young age you were very determined and driven to start like making a name for yourself and making an impact. And I think that that's huge. So like, let's fast forward to where you are today. Like the trajectory that you've had obviously has been huge from 17 to now, and you've created Passion for Achievement. So can you tell the audience what that means and what it is that Passion for Achievement does?
Absolutely. So Passion for Achievement is a company that helps online business owners and entrepreneurs maximize their personal performance. So this is everything from productivity, time management, staying focused, eliminating stress, eliminating overwhelm, burnout, procrastination. Essentially, if business is input equals output, which I believe it is, just like everything else in life, we help online business owners scale the input. I feel in today's day and age, everyone is looking to, everyone is focused on the output. So this is how you get 10 more clients, and this is how we will do this many leads for you, this much revenue. What I've found to work really well for me and my clients is identify an input that equals the output you're looking for, and then see if you can optimize the input. How can you find a way to do the input 10 times more? And then you find a way to do it 10 times more again. And I'm not kidding when I say I have many days now, where I'm 4 hours into my workday and I go, man, today I've done more. No kidding. I've done more today in these 4 hours than I used to do in a week, right? And imagine what that would do for your business if the input, whether that's for your marketing or it's outreach or it's getting on podcasts or whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you had twice as much energy, if you had, if you pulled 4 times as much out of each hour you're working, and maybe you can even work more hours because you have more energy and you feel better and everything is aligned, etc., etc. It's just, I've found that I've been in business now for 9 years, and doing that, I've tried different business models, I've tried different marketing methods, right? I've tried the webinars, the book funnels, the e-commerce, all of those things I've tried to make work. And the same thing with all the marketing, whether you're doing cold email, cold phone calls, cold DM, content marketing, ads, whatever. What I've found is pick one of those, and I promise there's someone out there doing $100 million with that. Yet still, most people are struggling. Most people that do this thing or that thing are struggling either to get off the ground, or they've hit that 10K per month or whatever it is, but they're struggling to scale. So if we know that there's someone out there doing like a zillion, billion, million dollars with that business model, why isn't everyone doing that with that business model? Well, obviously, I find it obvious that it's the performance of the entrepreneurs themselves. It's the the consistency, the mindset, the productivity, the time management, the energy, all of that. And so that's why, like I said, I've dialed down what I do to essentially, I want to understand performance, specifically for entrepreneurs and business owners, as much as I possibly can, so that I can eliminate as much of the wasted potential as possible.
I love it. And this is mainly for like online entrepreneurs, right?
So essentially, it's people that are in control of their own time. So we have people that are online business owners, freelancers. We have salespeople, actually a lot of salespeople, which surprised me in the beginning. We have authors and day traders and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't work with too many people that have like a very strict, structured 9 to 5. I could. It's just they see me and they go, okay, you have a completely different way of living. Can you relate to me? And I see them, and so I would love to help people with that, and I have helped people like that. And I have been in corporate as well. So, sometimes during these 9 years, when business wasn't fully profitable, I've had jobs, corporate and stuff like that. So I can absolutely help. I just have been working with more of the people that look a little bit more like me in terms of their daily.
Well, yeah, I think it's more like relatable, makes more sense for you because you've gone through a lot of these different things. So for me, like, right, you're kind of like in media, like myself. If you're constantly out there, like on social media, and you talk about burnout and overwhelm and all that, like, how does one, like someone that you were working with, one of your clients, and let's just kind of walk through this a little bit, that is online all the time, or e-commerce, or just constantly showing up in the media space. How do they prevent that burnout? Because I get burned out sometimes. And that's my whole business, is media and constantly showing up online, posting everywhere. And it's like, and I think that, I can do a lot real quick. I'm highly efficient. But like when you hit that wall, you're just like, man, I just can't do anymore. Like I need a break. Like, is there a way that, if someone's listening to this that may be experiencing this, like how they can prevent that from happening?
Absolutely. So one thing that I'm very, very big on is energy optimization. I saw an interview once. They were interviewing this man who seemed to have it all, right? He was a huge executive. He had a wife, 4 children. He had a charity, and he was still coaching soccer on Sundays. This guy had it all. And he was asked, how do you manage your time with all of that? And he said, that's not really, time management is not really the issue. The tricky part is managing your energy. And he said, if you have the energy, you'll have the time. Now, I understand that there are a lot of busy schedules out there. Sometimes my schedule is insane as well. So time management is huge, and I love optimizing that. But I've found very often the energy management is even more important. If you have that, you sometimes, almost always, you'll have the time because you get more out of your time, and you can work for longer and all these things. So energy optimization can kind of be split into 3 things: physical, mental, and emotional. And so it would be interesting next time you feel like you're exhausted, or you feel like you need a break, it would be interesting to explore, what is that, physical or mental or emotional? So physical are obviously the things that we know. These things like making sure your sleep, your diet, your exercise, your breathing, all these things. You're not sick, all these things. Then you have the mental and emotional. And sometimes it's just very interesting when I talk to entrepreneurs and they talk to me about their fatigue, because for some it's like 90% emotional that's holding them back. For others, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Emotional. It definitely has to be. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so that's the first part. Absolutely, is the clarity and understanding. Okay, when I say fatigue, what exactly is? Okay, it's probably mostly emotional fatigue. Cool. Let's dive deeper into that. Is that because there's aspects of your day that are kind of misaligned with your values? I know for me, if I'm very clear on my values, and I know that's, let's say, it's freedom and it's self-respect and it's impact, etc., etc. If I go too long and feeling like my values are being mismatched,
Yeah.
that is something that drains me emotionally immediately. It can also be, certain things that a client will do, or a certain thing that maybe a podcast host will do, or it's something where it's like, oh, why did that impact me like that? And so I think a very good approach for that is really studying yourself. So when you feel drained, you go, oh, okay, this is emotionally cool. Maybe write it down. What made me, what drained my energy emotionally today? Why am I always drained on Fridays but not on Tuesdays, or vice versa?
Yeah.
Why is it always at 10 a.m. and not 4 p.m. that I'm drained, or vice versa? Why is it always when I work with this person or that person? I think truly diving into that is powerful, because I truly believe if you have the energy, many of these other pieces of the puzzle, such as procrastination and low productivity and overwhelm, many of those pieces will fall into place if we have the energy and we have the clarity and we have the time management, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So for me, and I'll just make myself as an example, just like moving into another phase of my business, which is the podcast. I've grown it to where it is today, moving into now launching it on TV, and then also at the same time getting ready to be syndicated on AM FM radio. So I'm like got all of this stuff like happening all at once, and it is like emotionally exhausting. Like, holy crap, like, there's a lot of fear for me, and whoever's listening, maybe you're experiencing this in your business, and so hopefully you can relate to it. There's a lot of fear because of the next step, right? The next phase, the next level up, and then also just doing it all at once. Like, it was probably a lot to take on all at once, but when those opportunities come, you've got to seize them, and it's just like, so I will lay. So what I'll do personally is I'll take a minute, and then maybe more than a minute. Okay, let's just be real. And then I'll like lay on the couch, and I'll just have to just like process the feelings that I'm having, and allow myself so much time to just lay there and just relax. And then I'm like, okay, in 30 minutes, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get back to work and start getting more stuff done. Okay. Because, like you just can't let the day be wasted. There's a lot of excitement, and you work so hard to get to a certain place, and you like the fear of the success that's coming is emotionally, can be a lot emotionally. Right. And so I think that that's a part of it too. Someone's leveling up, and there's like, that's emotionally draining. Like, I mean, that's what's happening for me right now. I don't know about other people. Perhaps you can speak on that with your clients.
Yeah, I'll give you massive credit for the level of clarity that you have, because as soon as you said you have all these things going on, and they, it's kind of draining emotionally. Then my next question would be, what about it is emotionally draining? And immediately you went into talking a little bit about fear.
Yeah.
Some people are, afraid of failure. Some people are afraid of success. That's very interesting. You said that as well. So kudos to you for already knowing that. A lot of people will just say I'm emotionally drained, and then the next step is asking the question that you just answered. That's awesome. And I also really love that you do the thing on the couch where you actually feel the emotions, stuff like that. One thing I do a lot, which I really, really enjoy, it's something I learned from meditation, and I appreciate meditation, but you don't have to meditate to understand this concept, which is called behind the waterfall. And so the concept is, imagine you're at the bottom of a waterfall, and the water is just, all over you, you're almost drowning, it's all over. But now imagine instead that you're on you're in a cave, kind of behind the waterfall. So now the water is just falling down in front of you. It's not touching you or anything. You can just watch the water fall down.
Should we all have our eyes closed for this?
Maybe, yeah. You should really try this. Honestly, it's really good.
Okay, keep going.
But anyway, if we can imagine that these are our emotions. You can also do it with your thoughts, but let's just stick to emotions for now.
Yeah.
So what I would used to do, especially back then when I was involved in the crime and I wasn't in control of myself, if I got angry, immediately I would just flip the table. If I got jealous, immediately I would just either cut off that relationship, or I would be a very bad version of myself. If I got afraid, I would be in my emotion. But now I'm way more observing. So now when something happens, I'm like, that's interesting. When she said that, I felt a little bit of bitterness or jealousy or insecurity. Why is that? That's very interesting. So I don't go, okay, now I'm angry, so I flip the table. I go, I sense anger. That's interesting. I sense anger because she said this, and that hits a sore spot for me because of this from my childhood, or because of this, whatever. And so it makes sense that she says this now, and so I feel this. But it's just an emotion. I'm just observing it. I don't need to flip the table. And so the waterfall is basically just you taking a step back, and instead of being your emotions, you're observing them. And so you can, as we know, as business people, we want to be able to make as many of our decisions as possible based on a little bit more, logic, stuff like that. We don't want to be too emotional. And so by doing this, we can absolutely have a little bit more of an objective, neutral view on our emotions. I think that's really good. It becomes less draining if you're no longer your emotions, but you're now someone that can observe your emotions.
Yeah. No, I love that. No, I do meditate, but I do like a guided meditation like almost every morning. I like follow a couple different channels on YouTube, and I'll throw it on as I'm getting ready for my day, and just kind of like putting those positive affirmations, that guided meditation, breathing, and just like preparing myself, and there's a lot of different ones, but I find that very helpful. But I like the idea of behind the waterfall. I think that is a beautiful like visual and just kind of very calming at the same time. And I love that you have taught yourself how to be in touch with your emotions. And I think that, and I'm sure you can, I'm not sure how many of your clients, but I think that's a lot of people are lacking that skill, and it's just like I think they're so like cut off, and that's why they create so much chaos in their lives. And so when they come to someone like you to hopefully maybe like dial it in and like really get in touch with themselves, I think that allows like a lot of clarity to come almost immediately.
Yeah, what I've found when I see people, so usually this is how it goes when I talk to business people. I'll ask them, hey, what's your number one struggle in scaling to that point you're looking to scale to? Well, I don't have enough leads. Okay, why don't you have enough leads? Well, my marketing method is not working as well as I'd like it to, whatever. Okay, why is it not? Well, I guess I'm not super consistent with it. Why are you not consistent? Well, I just procrastinate a lot, and I have some insecurities about it, and a little bit of fear-based stuff like that. Or why do you have that? And so basically, almost every business issue I've ever encountered, if you keep asking why, it always comes down to something along the lines of a lack of clarity or fear or some kind of procrastination that's caused by fear and stuff like that. So that's why stuff like mindset or, well, I believe some of the high performance stuff that I do with people is very important, because the lack of leads or the low closing rate or the suboptimal delivery, fulfillment, whatever in your company, very often those symptoms of the cause that is actually within you. And so it sounds very woo-woo, very intangible, but the results of fixing these things are very, very tangible. So when I help people, I'm not just looking to optimize their energy and for them to feel better. I'm looking for their, to help their business skyrocket, right? And so the results are very tangible. So if you can do some of the more intangible work on yourself, the results are just incredible.
It doesn't sound woo-woo to me. I think it sounds absolutely spot on. I love it, because typically we are our own worst enemy. And if we don't deal with some of those things that are creating us to not like move forward, to move the needle forward, then, that like you are just getting in your own way. With that being said, Daniel, what does it look like if somebody wants to work with you? Do you do like an intro call? Do they have like a set amount of time they've got to like commit to? How do you work with your clients?
Absolutely. So usually what I'll do is I'll have a call with them, just a free 1 hour strategy session, something like that. I will take a very good look at what they're currently doing, how they're currently performing. We'll look at stuff like time management, productivity, stuff like that, what's working, what's not. We'll look at what would your ideal level of performance look like, and what would that do for your business. And then I would essentially map out what I would do in their situation. And if they want to do that on their own, perfectly fine. If they want to do it with my help, I'll help with some of the implementation. We'll talk about what that looks like. And so the way to get started with that, I used to hide a lot behind my company brand, but now I'm going on a bit of a personal brand journey. So
love it.
I just built an Instagram page. It's brand new, so you guys get to be there, from the beginning.
Okay.
And so if you're interested in daily content or free ebooks, whatever, or having a chat with me about how I can potentially help, that's all going to happen on Instagram at I am Daniel Hauge. And you can send me a DM and tell me you are on the Label Free podcast. That'd be awesome. I'd love to meet you.
Awesome. I'm going to put that link in the show notes, but also the link to your business site.
Obviously, my company, passionforachievement.com, but you can also find that link from the Instagram. So I think...
Perfect. All in one place. Okay. Instagram.com. I am Daniel Hauge. So you guys, I'll put that link in the show notes. So go follow him on Instagram. If you love this conversation, want to learn more, and you connected with him, go send him a message. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. Daniel, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Yeah, so sometimes new information is very important, and other times a powerful reminder is just as important. And here the powerful reminder is you can have, be, and do a lot more. There's something holding you back, whether you're already crushing it or you're not. There's something holding you back, and there are fixes for it. And yeah, I think just like me, if you can make wasted potential your number one nemesis, I think you'll go far very quickly.
I love it. Beautiful. Well, Daniel, thank you for sharing your journey. And for someone like you that have reached this level of success, and you continue to rise and you continue to scale all these different mountains. I love the reminder that it's never a straight line. And just because we've experienced certain things in our past does not dictate, does not label us, or does not define us of who we can be in the future. So thank you so much for joining us today, Daniel. And we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.